The first time Ethan Cole saw his boss cry, she was standing barefoot in the rain outside a five-star hotel, while reporters shouted questions about her failed engagement. Ethan had only stepped outside to grab coffee. But there she was, Victoria Hale, the ice-cold CEO of Hale Media Group, gripping her heels in one hand while mascara streaked down her face. "Ms. Hale, did your fiancé leave you? Was the wedding cancelled because of the scandal?" Flashes exploded around her like lightning. Then Ethan did something nobody else dared to do. He walked straight into the chaos, took off his own jacket, wrapped it around her shoulders, and quietly said, "Come on. My truck's parked around back." Victoria looked up at him in disbelief. "You work for me," she whispered. "Yeah," Ethan replied. "But right now, you look like someone who needs a friend." That one sentence changed both their lives. Inside Ethan's old pickup truck, silence filled the air except for rain hammering the windshield. Victoria stared out the window while Ethan awkwardly handed her napkins from the glove compartment. "You probably think I'm pathetic," she muttered. Ethan shook his head. "I think you're human." She laughed bitterly. "That's dangerous in my world." Ethan understood dangerous. He was a single dad raising an 8-year-old daughter after losing his wife 3 years earlier. Survival had taught him how lonely adulthood could become. But he never imagined his quiet act of kindness would lead to late-night conversations, secret lunches, and a heartbreaking choice that would destroy everything they thought they understood about love. Because Victoria Hale didn't just want help finding happiness. She was about to fall for the one man she could never have. By Monday morning, the entire office buzzed with gossip about Victoria Hale's cancelled wedding. Employees whispered in hallways. She fired her fiancé from the company. "I heard he cheated." "No, he stole money from investors." Ethan ignored all of it while dropping his daughter Lily off at school. "Dad," Lily asked from the back seat, "why do grown-ups always look tired?" Ethan laughed softly. "Because being an adult is basically solving problems until bedtime." Lily grinned. "Sounds horrible." "It is." At work, Ethan expected Victoria to pretend their rainy night conversation never happened. Instead, his assistant phone rang at noon. "Mr. Cole," Victoria's voice said calmly. "Come to my office." When Ethan entered the executive floor, employees stared at him like he was walking into a firing squad. Victoria sat behind massive glass windows overlooking Manhattan. Elegant. Untouchable. Perfect again. But her eyes softened when she saw him. "I need a favor," she said. Ethan blinked. "Okay. I forgot how normal people date." He nearly choked. "Excuse me?" She leaned back with embarrassment hidden beneath confidence. "Every man I meet either wants my money, my company, or my last name. You don't." "That's because I'm terrified of you." For the first time in days, Victoria genuinely laughed. Then she made him an offer. "Help me find someone real." Ethan frowned. "You want me to set you up on dates?" "You understand people," she said quietly. "And you tell me the truth." He should have said no. But somehow, 2 weeks later, Ethan found himself coaching the most powerful woman in New York on how to survive dating apps while eating takeout noodles in her penthouse kitchen. And somewhere between sarcastic jokes and midnight conversations, the loneliness inside both of them started disappearing. Victoria's first date disaster happened at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city skyline. Ethan waited downstairs in the lobby as backup support because Victoria insisted she might need emergency rescue. 20 minutes later, she stormed into the elevator looking furious. "Well?" Ethan asked carefully. He spent 15 minutes explaining cryptocurrency. "That bad?" He called himself an alpha male. Ethan winced. "Yeah, that's fatal." Victoria burst into laughter so hard she nearly spilled her wine. Over the next month, Ethan became her unofficial relationship advisor. One guy bragged nonstop about private jets. Another asked Victoria to invest in his startup before appetizers arrived. A third spent dinner talking about himself without asking her a single question. After every failed date, Victoria ended up back with Ethan. Sometimes at diners. Sometimes walking through Central Park late at night. Sometimes sitting in Ethan's apartment while Lily painted Victoria's nails bright pink. "You're terrible at dating," Ethan teased one evening. Victoria rolled her eyes. "Easy for you to say. I've been single for 3 years." "Yes, but you actually know how to love people." That sentence hit Ethan harder than expected. Because after losing his wife, he'd buried that part of himself beneath responsibility and grief. Victoria noticed it too. "You still wear your wedding ring," she whispered. Ethan looked down silently. "She mattered," he said. "She still does." For a moment, neither spoke. The air between them shifted into something deeper. Dangerous. Intimate. Then Lily ran into the room holding a drawing. "It's us!" she shouted happily. The picture showed Ethan, Lily, and Victoria standing beside them like family. Victoria's smile faded slightly. Because suddenly, what started as friendship no longer felt simple anymore. And both of them knew it. Rumors spread quickly inside Hale Media Group. Too quickly. Employees noticed Victoria smiling again. They noticed Ethan entering executive meetings despite being a mid-level project manager. And they definitely noticed Victoria attending Lily's school recital. By Friday, gossip blogs started posting headlines. CEO secret romance? Victoria Hale dating employee? Victoria tried ignoring it. Ethan couldn't. "You should distance yourself from me," he told her during a late-night office meeting. Victoria froze. "Why?" "Because this could hurt your company." Her expression hardened instantly. "I don't care." "Well, I do." Silence filled the room. Then Victoria quietly admitted the truth she'd been avoiding. "I hate going home when you're not there." Ethan's chest tightened painfully. Neither moved. Neither breathed. Then Victoria stepped closer. Close enough for him to smell her perfume. Close enough to feel every emotion she tried hiding behind confidence. "You asked me to find someone real," Ethan whispered. "And I did," she replied. The kiss almost happened. Almost. But Ethan stepped back first. "We can't." Victoria's face cracked with hurt. "Because I'm your boss? Because if this falls apart, Lily loses another person she loves." That sentence destroyed her. Victoria nodded slowly while fighting tears. "I understand." But from that night on, everything changed. Every glance lasted too long. Every accidental touch burned. And every second together felt like standing near fire while pretending not to feel the heat. Then came the charity gala. The night everything exploded. The Hale Foundation gala looked like something from a movie. Crystal chandeliers. Champagne towers. Celebrities everywhere. Ethan hated every second of it. "You look uncomfortable," Victoria whispered beside him. "I'm one violin solo away from running away." She smiled softly. "Stay." Victoria wore a black satin dress that turned heads the moment she entered the ballroom. Ethan tried not to stare. Failed miserably. Halfway through the evening, Victoria was cornered by wealthy investors pretending to flirt while discussing business deals. Ethan watched from across the room, jealousy twisting unexpectedly inside him. Then Lily called his phone crying. "Dad? I don't feel good." Ethan immediately rushed outside. Victoria noticed instantly and followed him. "What happened?" "Lily's sick." "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to." "I know." At the hospital, Lily slept peacefully after doctors confirmed it was only a severe flu. Victoria sat beside Ethan in the quiet hallway. "You're a good father," she whispered. Ethan rubbed tired eyes. "Some days I feel like I'm failing her." "You're not." The exhaustion in his face finally broke something inside Victoria. "You know why I keep choosing terrible men?" she asked softly. Ethan looked over. "Because powerful women get treated like machines. Men admire me, but nobody really sees me. I see you." Victoria's eyes filled with emotion. For the first time in years, she believed someone meant those words. Then Lily stirred awake and smiled weakly. "Are you staying?" she asked Victoria sleepily. Victoria held her tiny hand. "Yeah," she whispered. "I'm staying." And Ethan realized that somewhere along the way, this woman had already become part of their lives. 3 days later, Ethan arrived at work to absolute chaos. People whispered louder than usual. Phones buzzed nonstop. Then he saw the headline. CEO Victoria Hale's secret affair with employee father. Photos of them leaving the hospital filled every news site online. Victoria's board of directors exploded. Investors demanded explanations. One board member publicly accused Ethan of manipulating Victoria for money. "You need to fire him immediately," they told her. Victoria refused. That afternoon, Ethan walked into her office. "You should let me resign." Victoria stood up instantly. No. This company matters to thousands of employees. You matter to me. The raw honesty in her voice shattered his composure. But before he could respond, another bomb dropped. Victoria's former fiancé, Daniel Mercer, returned unexpectedly. And he came armed with information. At the emergency board meeting, Daniel smirked while sliding documents across the table. If Victoria remains CEO, he announced coldly, investors pull funding. The room erupted. Victoria stared at him in disbelief. You're blackmailing the company? No, Daniel replied calmly. I'm saving it from emotional decisions. Then he looked directly at Ethan. She's risking $1 billion empire for a widowed employee who can't let go of his dead wife. The insult hit like a knife. Ethan nearly punched him. But Victoria grabbed Ethan's hand beneath the table. And in that tiny moment, Daniel realized the truth before anyone else did. She loved him. Completely. Dangerously. Irrevocably. And suddenly, Ethan understood something terrifying. If he stayed, Victoria could lose everything she built. The next morning, Ethan disappeared. No calls. No texts. Nothing. Victoria searched everywhere until she finally found him sitting alone at a baseball field where he used to bring Lily. You left, she said shakily. Ethan couldn't meet her eyes. I'm trying to protect you. By breaking my heart? He swallowed hard. You deserve someone who fits your world. Victoria laughed bitterly through tears. You still don't get it. She stepped closer. I spent my whole life surrounded by powerful men. Men with money. Men with status. Her voice cracked. And none of them ever made me feel safe. Ethan finally looked up. But you do. The pain in her eyes destroyed him. I'm scared, he admitted quietly. Of me? Of losing you. Victoria knelt in front of him. You already changed my life, Ethan. You taught me that love isn't about image or power. Tears streamed down her face. It's about who stays when things get ugly. Ethan finally broke. Years of grief. Loneliness. Fear. All of it collapsed at once. He kissed her hard beneath gray skies while empty stadium lights towered above them. For one perfect moment, nothing else existed. Not the company. Not the scandal. Not the world. Just them. But when they returned to the city, dozens of paparazzi waited outside Victoria's building. And by morning, the board scheduled a vote to remove her as CEO. Because she chose love over reputation. The boardroom felt colder than a courtroom. Executives lined both sides of the massive table while reporters waited outside for the final decision. Victoria stood alone at the front. Daniel smiled confidently. This company needs stability, he announced. Not emotional scandals. Then he presented one final attack. A private investigator had uncovered Ethan's financial struggles after his wife's death. Medical debt. Late mortgage payments. Everything. He targeted Victoria for security, Daniel claimed. The room murmured. Ethan stood silently near the back wall, humiliated. Then something unexpected happened. Lily walked into the boardroom. Victoria's assistant had brought her accidentally during the chaos. Dad? Lily whispered nervously. Every adult froze. Lily looked at the executives, confused by the tension. Then she turned toward Victoria. Are they mad because you love us? The room went silent. Pain flashed across Victoria's face. Before anyone could answer, Ethan stepped forward. This is over, he said quietly. He looked directly at the board. I'll leave the company permanently. Victoria stared at him in shock. No. It's the only way this ends. Tears filled her eyes as Ethan continued. I love her enough to walk away. Even Daniel looked stunned. But Victoria suddenly laughed softly through tears. Then she removed her CEO badge and placed it on the table. No, she said firmly. I'm done letting people decide my happiness. The entire room froze. Victoria turned toward Ethan. They can keep the company, she whispered. I choose you. And for the first time in her life, the most powerful woman in the room chose love over power. 6 months later, Ethan stood nervously outside a small community center in Brooklyn while Lily adjusted flowers near the entrance. You're sweating, Lily teased. I'm having a medical emergency. No, she laughed. You're getting married. Inside the renovated building, sunlight poured through tall windows while friends and family filled simple wooden chairs. Nothing extravagant. Nothing fake. Just real. Victoria walked down the aisle wearing an elegant ivory dress without designer labels or cameras surrounding her. And Ethan couldn't breathe. After resigning from Hale Media Group, Victoria shocked the business world by launching a non-profit mentorship company for single parents rebuilding careers after loss. People called her crazy. But she'd never looked happier. At the altar, Ethan whispered, "Do you regret giving up everything?" Victoria smiled through emotional tears. "No." Then she leaned closer. "Because I didn't lose everything." She looked toward Lily. "I found my family." The ceremony ended with applause, laughter, and tears. But the final twist came later that night. As Ethan and Victoria danced slowly beneath string lights, Victoria handed him a small envelope. "What's this?" he asked. "Open it." Inside was a letter from Hale Media Group. Ethan frowned while reading. "They want you to become CEO?" Victoria grinned mischievously. They realized too late who actually understood people. Ethan stared at her in shock. "You planned this?" "Maybe a little." He laughed for the first time in months. Then he pulled her close beneath glowing lights while music echoed softly around them. And after years of heartbreak, loss, loneliness, and fear, both of them finally understood something simple. Sometimes the person helping you find love is the love you were searching for all along.